I had spent 22 years believing I had the perfect marriage. My wife, Natalie, was everything I thought I wanted. Beautiful, intelligent, and fiercely devoted. We had built a life together, raising 2 children, Ava, now 20, and Jake, 14. And I had no reason to suspect that everything we had was nothing more than a carefully constructed lie. I met Natalie in college, back when I was still naive enough to believe that love alone could keep 2 people together. She worked at a small cafe near campus, and her laugh had been the first thing that caught my attention. 2 years later, we were married, young and in love, ready to take on the world. When Ava was born, we were overjoyed. The sleepless nights, the sacrifices, they all felt worth it. And when Jake came along years later, I thought our family was complete. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. I should have seen the signs. I should have noticed how Natalie withdrew from me, how our conversations became nothing more than routine discussions about bills, schedules, and who would pick up Jake from soccer practice. I should have seen how she no longer looked at me the way she used to, how she started spending more time on her phone, laughing at messages she never shared with me. But I was blind, and my blindness cost me everything. It all started when my old friend Adam moved back into town. We had been inseparable in college, but life took us in different directions. When he called me out of the blue, saying he was moving back for a new job and needed a place to stay for a while, I didn't hesitate. I welcomed him into my home, into my life, into my marriage. Adam was charming. He always had been. He could talk his way into or out of anything, and people loved him for it, Natalie included. At first, I was happy to see my family enjoying his company. He made my wife laugh in a way I hadn't seen in years. He bonded with Ava over books, exchanged jokes with Jake, and even helped around the house. It felt like old times. But then things started to change. Natalie began dressing up more, wearing perfume even when she had no plans to go out. She started leaving the house more often, saying she was meeting with friends. And Adam, he was always there, always lingering a little too close, always watching her with a look I should have recognized. I trusted them both. That was my mistake. I was supposed to be at work. I wasn't. I had forgotten an important contract at home, and instead of calling Natalie to bring it to me, I decided to swing by the house myself. I wasn't prepared for what I found. The moment I stepped inside, I heard laughter, low, intimate, the kind that didn't belong between a married woman and her husband's best friend. I walked toward the living room, and there they were. Natalie straddling Adam on the couch, their lips locked, hands desperate, tangled together in a moment so raw, so undeniable, that the world around me blurred for a second. Neither of them noticed me. Then Natalie's eyes flickered open. She gasped, scrambling away, her face flushing with guilt. Adam jumped to his feet, hands raised like a guilty man caught in the act. "It's not what it looks like," he stammered, but we all knew it was exactly what it looked like. And that's when Natalie did the worst thing imaginable. She didn't beg for forgiveness. She blamed me. "You were never here," she spat, her eyes flashing with anger instead of remorse. "You worked late. You forgot about me. Adam made me feel wanted again." I felt something inside me snap. This was my wife, the mother of my children, the woman who had vowed to love me until death, and here she was, justifying her betrayal. I didn't yell. I didn't hit Adam. I just looked at her and said, "You'll regret this," because I already knew how this would end, and my revenge had just begun. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I simply filed for divorce the next morning. Natalie laughed in my face. "You're being dramatic," she said, crossing her arms. "You're really going to throw away 22 years over a kiss?" But I knew it wasn't just a kiss. It was everything. And the worst part? Ava took her side. "She deserves to be happy, Dad," Ava said, glaring at me like I was the villain. "You were never around. Maybe you should have paid more attention." Jake, however, was furious. "She cheated," he snapped at his sister. "And you're defending her? What's wrong with you?" I left that night. I couldn't stay in that house. The house where I had built a life with a woman who had thrown it all away for someone who didn't even love her. But I wasn't done, not by a long shot, because if Natalie thought she was walking away unscathed, she was dead wrong. I was going to make her feel the same pain she had inflicted on me. I didn't just want to leave Natalie. I wanted to take everything from her. First, I froze our joint bank accounts. She panicked, calling me in a fury. "You can't just cut me off," she screamed. "You lost the right to my money the moment you spread your legs for Adam," I said coldly. Next, I started digging. And what I found, oh, it was so much worse than I imagined. Natalie and Adam hadn't just kissed. They had been sleeping together for months, while I was at work, while I was planning vacations for us, while I was breaking my back to provide for our family, and worst of all, she was still lying to me about it. That's when I knew my revenge wouldn't just be about exposing her, it would be about destroying her. The night I left, I checked into a hotel across town, but sleep didn't come. My mind was a battlefield of emotions, rage, betrayal, a deep-seated sorrow that clung to my chest like a vice. But above all, a single thought consumed me. I would not be the victim in this story. Natalie thought she had won, that she had played me for a fool and walked away unscathed. She had no idea what I was capable of. I spent the entire night gathering evidence, bank statements, text logs, anything I could find. I contacted a private investigator, someone I had used for background checks at work. If there was more to uncover, I would find it. And then, as I was combing through my wife's social media, something clicked. Adam wasn't just a fling. He was replacing me. He had money, connections, influence. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was upgrading. She wanted out of our marriage, but she didn't want to leave empty-handed. And I wasn't about to let that happen. Natalie still didn't take me seriously. "You're being ridiculous," she scoffed when I refused to negotiate outside of court. "We can split things fairly. No need to make this ugly." I looked her dead in the eye. "You lost the right to fair the moment you let him touch you." Her face paled. She knew I wasn't backing down. That night, she tried to get Ava to convince me to be reasonable. "Mom made a mistake," Ava said, her arms crossed. "You can't throw everything away over one bad decision." "One?" I repeated, laughing bitterly. "Ava, wake up. This wasn't a mistake. It was months of lying, cheating, and she doesn't even regret it." Ava rolled her eyes. "Whatever. At least she's happy now." And that was it. My daughter had chosen her side. But Jake stood beside me. "Dad," he said quietly, "I'll never forgive them." Neither would I. Natalie moved in with Adam within a week. She acted like it was a fresh start, posting happy pictures on social media, pretending like she hadn't just destroyed our family. I let her believe she was winning. Meanwhile, I was working behind the scenes. I had called Adam's boss, casually mentioned how an employee under him had been engaging in questionable behavior with a married woman, one whose husband happened to know very influential people in the industry. Adam lost his job within 3 days. Natalie still didn't suspect a thing. She was too busy parading around like she had upgraded from a workaholic husband to an exciting, passionate man. And then I filed for full custody of Jake. She didn't take it seriously at first. She assumed the courts would favor her, that mothers always won, until my lawyer presented the evidence. Bank records showing hotel transactions under her name for months, text messages from Adam to other women because, of course, he wasn't just cheating with Natalie. He was cheating on her too. Natalie's world began to crack. She tried to fight, tried to claim that she had been neglected in the marriage, but in the end, she had no ground to stand on. I walked out of the courtroom with full custody of my son. And Natalie? She walked out realizing she had made the biggest mistake of her life. 2 months passed. Natalie called me drunk one night. "I messed up," she whispered. "I miss you." I leaned back in my chair, a slow smile creeping onto my face. "No, you missed stability." She started crying, saying she was so sorry, that she had been wrong about Adam. And then came the final twist. She had come home early one evening and caught Adam with someone else. And that someone else? Ava, my own daughter. She had betrayed me to defend her mother, but in the end, she had become her mother's replacement. Natalie sobbed, begging for forgiveness. "I didn't know," she choked out. "I swear I didn't know." I let her cry. I let her feel every ounce of the betrayal she had inflicted on me. And then I said the words that sealed her fate. "You deserve each other." And I hung up. Natalie and Ava self-destructed. Adam, predictably, abandoned them both. Ava called me in tears, trying to justify it. "It's not like that, Dad. I cut her off. "I hope you enjoy being your mother's replacement." She went silent, and for the first time, she realized what she had done. Natalie lost everything. Her home, her reputation, her family, and me. I walked away without a scratch because sometimes the best revenge is letting them destroy themselves. Natalie tried to hold on to what little dignity she had left. She went silent for weeks after I hung up on her. No more social media posts, no more smugness, just radio silence. Then one day, I got a text from her sister Lisa. "You should see Natalie. She's not doing well." I ignored it. I wasn't about to play the sympathy game. She made her choices. She destroyed our marriage. She chose a man over her own family. Now she had to live with that. But deep down, I was curious. Had she finally realized what she had lost? So I let Lisa send me a picture. It wasn't the woman I used to know. Natalie looked gaunt, tired, hollow, like someone had drained the life out of her. And in a way, they had, because Adam never wanted her. He wanted control. He got it, then moved on. She had burned her entire life to be with him, and now she had nothing to show for it. Not a marriage, not a home, not a family, and worst of all, not even her own daughter. Ava tried to act like nothing was wrong. She still posted pictures online, pretending her life was perfect. But I knew the truth. And so did Jake. One evening, as we were watching TV, he turned to me and said, "Ava called." I'm motionless, eyes to the screen. What did she say? She wants to come back home. I leaned back in my chair, studying my son's face. He wasn't smiling. What do you think? I asked him. Jake shrugged. I think she finally figured out Mom was using her as a shield. He wasn't wrong. Natalie had weaponized Ava, manipulated her into taking her side, feeding her lies about how I was the bad guy. And Ava had believed it. She had chosen a stranger over her own father, and now it was too late. She asked if you'd talk to her, Jake added. I stared at my phone, the notification of missed calls flashing on the screen. Then I shook my head. Not yet. Because Ava needed to understand something. Actions have consequences, and some things you can't undo. Natalie must have sensed the shift because suddenly she was everywhere. She called. I didn't answer. She texted. I ignored her. Then she showed up at my house, on my doorstep, in the pouring rain, looking nothing like the woman who had once smirked at me in a courtroom, thinking she had won. I opened the door, and for a long moment, we just stared at each other. Please, she whispered, just let me talk. I crossed my arms. Talk. She swallowed hard, her eyes glassy, desperate. I was wrong, she admitted, about everything. I didn't say anything. I shouldn't have let him in, she choked out. I thought he loved me. I raised an eyebrow, and she let out a sharp breath. And he used me. He used Ava. He threw us both away when he was done. I lost everything. Her voice cracked. I lost you. I sighed, shaking my head. No, Natalie, you threw me away. And for what? Her lips trembled. I thought I wanted more. I stepped closer, my voice low, cutting. You had everything. You had me. You had a home, a family, and you burned it all, she sobbed. I'll do anything to fix it. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said the words that made her collapse right there on my porch. You can't, because some things you don't get to fix. After that, I thought Natalie had finally accepted her fate. I was wrong, because she had one last trick up her sleeve. She filed for joint custody of Jake, even after he begged her not to, even after he told her he wanted nothing to do with her. She tried to force herself back into our lives. But she underestimated me, because I wasn't the same man she had once controlled. I had proof. Messages, recordings, everything. I took it straight to the court, and when the judge read through the documents, he didn't even hesitate. Full custody remained mine. Natalie? She walked out of that courtroom in tears, utterly defeated. And for the first time, I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just freedom. Jake and I rebuilt our lives one step at a time. I made sure I was present. I took him to school, helped with his homework, showed up to every single soccer game. He needed me, and for the first time in years, I was fully there. Then one evening, as we were having dinner, Jake looked up and said something I'll never forget. You're a good dad. I swallowed hard. I'm just doing my best. No, he said firmly. You're better than that. You didn't just fight for me. You fought for yourself. And that's when I realized I hadn't just survived this. I had won. Natalie tried to put on a brave face, pretending like she still had control over her life. She crafted a new narrative, telling everyone who would listen that she had been misunderstood, that she was just a woman who had made a mistake and had been unfairly punished for it. She spun lies, saying I had turned Jake against her, that I had manipulated the legal system, that I had cut her out when all she wanted was to make things right. But the truth was staring her in the face every time she woke up alone in that tiny apartment, every time she checked her empty phone, every time she realized she had nothing left except the choices she had made. Adam had abandoned her. Ava had moved out, but not back home. She had chosen to stay away from both of us, ashamed, unable to face what she had done. And Jake, he wanted nothing to do with her. She was alone, and it was entirely her fault. Ava lasted 6 months before she finally cracked. I had just gotten home from work when I heard a knock at the door. When I opened it, there she was. Her face was pale, her eyes rimmed red, her lips trembling as if she had been standing there for a long time, debating whether or not to go through with this. "Dad?" she whispered. I said nothing, just studied her. She swallowed hard. I messed up. I leaned against the doorway, my arms crossed. "Yeah, you did." Tears welled in her eyes, and for the first time, I saw it. Regret. Real, crushing, soul-shattering regret. "Can I come in?" she asked. I let out a slow breath, then stepped aside. "That depends. Are you here because you're sorry, or because you have nowhere else to go?" She flinched, because we both knew the answer. She had burned every bridge she had, and now she was looking for a way back. But I wasn't the same man I was before, and forgiveness wasn't something she could just ask for and expect to receive. After losing Ava, Natalie spiraled even further. She had nothing left to lose, which made her dangerous. I should have expected it. The late-night calls, the sudden visits, the hysterical messages. I ignored them all. But then one day, she crossed the line. I came home to find her sitting on my porch, waiting for me. Jake was still at soccer practice, which meant I had no buffer, no reason to send her away immediately. I sighed, stepping out of my car. "Natalie, what the hell are you doing here?" She stood up quickly, wringing her hands. "I need to talk to you." "There's nothing left to say." "There is," she insisted. "Just 5 minutes." I could have told her to leave, could have walked past her and slammed the door in her face, but something in her eyes stopped me. She looked broken, like she finally truly understood what she had lost. 5 minutes, I said flatly. "That's it." She nodded quickly. "I want to fix things." I exhaled sharply. "There's nothing to fix." Her face twisted. "Please, just—" "You didn't fight for me," I cut her off. "You fought for Adam. You fought to protect your lies. You fought against me. And now that you have nothing, you want to fix things." Her lips parted, but no words came out, because she knew I was right. She had already lost, and there was no coming back from this. Natalie left that night knowing the truth, that there were no second chances, that there was no going back. But Ava still had a chance, and she was desperate to take it. For the next few months, she tried everything. Texting me, asking Jake to put in a good word, sending me long, heartfelt emails about how she had been stupid and selfish. And I believed her. I knew she had learned the hard way, but that didn't mean I could forget. Forgiveness? That wasn't something you just handed out. So one day, I met her for coffee. She sat across from me, fidgeting, scared. "Do you hate me?" she whispered. I sighed, staring at her for a long time. "No, but I don't trust you." Tears filled her eyes, but she nodded. "I'll earn it back." I stirred my coffee. "We'll see." And that was the truth, because some wounds, they take time to heal. It took years for me to rebuild, years of focusing on Jake, years of learning to trust again, years of finally choosing myself. And one day, while shopping, I ran into Natalie. She looked different, older, worn. She was working as a cashier at a small grocery store. When she saw me, her face turned red with embarrassment. She looked at the woman beside me, my new wife. Happy, confident, strong. Natalie gave me a sad smile. "You look happy." I held my wife's hand, squeezing it lightly. "I am." She swallowed hard. I just wanted to say, "I'm sorry." I smiled, and then I walked away because the best revenge is living well.